Good afternoon, sports fans. It's Mark Halpern here for the Sports Insanity Network, sponsored by the one and only Dugout of Millwood, the best place to get your baseball cards. So we are back again with our coast to coast episode, and you recognize the guy below us as Omer coming in from Israel, and we have Mike, who has been on an episode coming in from Denver, Colorado. So we are now West Coast, East Coast, and very, very, very far East Coast. So we are growing our chain greatly to eventually get a one broadcast where we're going and recording directly from around the world, and we are working on that. But one thing you don't know about these guys, I know we talked about it, growing up, this was my brothers. One who lived next door to me and one who always came over. We did everything together, from baseball to everything. Played sports together, grew up together. One of us had to leave to go to Israel. I mean, that's how it is. Mike, Mike and I graduated Greeley together. Mike once threw out a guy from left field in slow pitch softball, but we'll talk about all those fun things another time. How are we doing? How are we doing, Omer? How is it for you right now?
Yeah, now things are great other than the fact that we got to find our way to win and not have Judge walk four times in a game. But other than that, things are great. Enjoying the summer out here, hot weather, beach.
Mike, how are things in your Colorado warmness, not snowiness?
Well, it's great. My kids are at camp for 2 weeks, so they're up in the mountains at the local camp, and so my wife and I are solo for the first time, and I don't know, I think really since our kids were born, so that's a
So,
blessing.
so you're out partying every night.
I don't know about that, but no, we're enjoying the time here, and Denver's it's nice to be in a real city again and a real state.
Well, well, we know you're pretty fly for a rabbi. You know that's
There
how
you
it is.
go.
So, from what you've seen from Mike and Omer, we know Omer is the diehard Yankee fan of this group. And Mike and I have been longtime Mets fans as we've gone to a plethora of games together. And it's hard to remember, but I think we all went to a game once back in the day. It's very possible. Hard to remember when. But if you were watching baseball, yet again, the Yankees took on the New York Mets for a two-game series. And Mike knows what happened. I know it happened, but we're going to lead in with the Yankee fan. And we're going to let him explain what happened. Go ahead,
Uh,
Omer.
I think we spoke about it last time, didn't we? Well, we spoke that the other part of the lineup doesn't know what it's doing, and I don't know. I really can't deal this whole DJ LeMahieu trying to make it back. No third base. Hold that whole left side, third base slash left field Verdugo thing. I told you that we need to make that trade with the Rockies, maybe for whatever his name is,
Ryan
McMahon.
McMahon, yeah,
McMahon.
Ryan
Shield
McMahon.
should, yeah, probably, yeah. And you've got you got India from the Reds also. That could be a nice trade up. And yeah, we got to give some people away for it. But that whole left side of the infield is not doing well. Volpe's finally coming back, but I mean, come on, you can't lose that game 3-2. The pitchers are doing well. You got to come out and just you can't rely always Judge and Soto. I mean, they're the two greatest batters right now in the AL. I mean, I think hands down they are. No one, I don't think there's even room to argue with that. And but again, baseball is a nine-player team. It's not basketball where you can have two players playing 48, 48 minutes and win the game for us. So it's back to those basics.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Yankees have an opportunity to make a couple good moves. If they're smart, they might have to open pocketbook a little bit. I mean, to me, it'd be fascinating for them to go poke around the Marlins a little bit and see if, imagine if they could be in the mix for a center fielder there and see where he can fit. Because again, the infield they could use a little help, but I mean, you can't turn down an opportunity to get Jazz Chisholm from the Marlins. I think he would be an interesting spark for them. Um, and a pitcher. I think the Yankees need a reliever.
And it's
I've
good points. Go
the
ahead.
No, it's fine. I'm just saying the reliever. Then, so I think there's talk about bringing back Green from Toronto. I read about that. I think yesterday, which would be really great. He's doing really well there. That middle reliever, like you said. I don't know about closer. I mean, sure. I don't know. The whole idea of the closer thing is also problematic. He's not as strong as he was at the beginning of the season. Kind of losing his speed. Um, it's also kind of an issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be also a good deal. I mean, the Mets are kind of using, um, some of their starters in the bullpen now, kind of shifted them around a little bit. It'd be interesting, and I don't even know if the Yankees would have to do that, but if they went and, you know, you got Spencer Jones sitting there in the minor leagues, and you deal him to somebody, either, pick up you know, ask the White Sox if they might be interested in terms of Garrett Crochet or even, Tigers with Screwball there. I mean, I think you could pick up an interesting pitcher as well. But the Yankees need to do something because, if you have Aaron Judge and Juan Soto sitting there, yeah, they can't do everything, but you also can't sit idly by and just let the season go and waste a year of the kind of two of the elite players of all
Oh yeah.
time in baseball. I mean, you have two of the elite players of all time. And that's unique. I mean, the Mets don't have that. I mean, I love their lineup. I love what they're doing, but they don't have an Aaron Judge and a Juan Soto sitting, at least this year, sitting on their.
I mean, I think Mike said it very cleanly is that, and Omer also said it, is that the Yankees, that's half, meaning the bottom half of that order, doesn't produce. And you could see it last night. I mean, you see Volpe, like both of them said, is starting to come around a little bit. He's coming out of that funk. He hit a nice couple of hard hit balls last night. So, you know, the question is, what can the Yankees give up to even gain anything? And that's the hard part because of what they traded to get Juan Soto to be a future New York Met. Um, the Yankees need pitching. It comes down to that, and it's not necessarily a starter. It's bullpen help. I think that bullpen is tired. I think it's been used way too much, and you could see it as the Mets were able to handle through it.
Hey, Mark, do you think that the Yankees? Where's John? Is John Brebbia still with the White Sox right now?
I gotcha.
I think he is. I mean, he's not
Yes,
like one who jumps out, but you know, he kind of got banged up early, I think. But again, if the Yankees can't swing, if they're not willing to trade, part ways with some of their really good prospects. I mean, they don't have a ton, but who knows? You could pick up someone who's kind of under the radar and who could really help give you some innings.
I think Mike, you picked out the two people, and Omer agreed. You got Tariq Skubal out of Detroit and Garrett Crochet out of the White Sox. Probably the two most attractive names on the trade list. Both would fit our two organizations without question. But I don't know if necessarily the Mets are going to be looking for a starter. I think the Mets starting rotation has been solid, even though these guys are C plus B minus players. I think they're trying to make a play for Tanner Scott out of Miami. I think that is the goal for them.
Yeah, they'd have to give up a lot. I mean, it might be okay, right? Give up a Brett Beatty and another prospect in
You would
that
have to
system.
think Beatty would be the front part of that deal, as Mark Vientos has clearly won the third base job. It's his. I mean, you got Tanner Scott, and there are plenty of relievers out there that you can go get. But it would be very hard to believe if Miami would trade within the division. But that's a big name for the Mets to want.
Would be. Yeah, my son and I were at spring training last year, and we got to see also Wilfredo Lara play, and he could also be a good piece of that. He's 20. He's shortstop, third base. He's but also outfield, so he could be a really enticing piece for the Marlins that could fit in with future plans.
Omer.
Well, I mean, on the Mets side, I'm not as strong with you guys about exactly who should go where. I kind of not able to follow them as much as you guys are able to. But if I do go back to the Yankees, and I'm sorry, I'm bringing it to there. Just I'm looking at that left
Oh,
side
that's
all of,
fine.
and I'm just saying, there are players like again like from Colorado. There's also Jesse Winker, something like that. He's also not a bad player, 260. Left-handed batter, 11 home runs. He could be a great switch with Verdugo. I don't know. He's in the Pirates, right? So the Pirates are really. I don't know if they're going. The Pirates are kind of in there on the wild card, but again, not sure how much.
I
These are the
I
Nationals,
think
I think.
the wild card race, just to go
It's
through,
crazy
is going to be one of the best wild card races we have seen in the last 10 years. You have
on the
seven,
NL side. You're
yeah,
talking about
on
the
the
NL
NL
side.
side,
Yeah.
on the NL side, exactly. You have about 7 teams, Mets included, that are with no more than a game and a half out of each other.
Well,
And
the
it's
Mets are
gonna
going to pull away, Mark. Come on now.
I'm
They're
look,
gonna they're gonna fall away. You mean right? They're gonna
hey,
fall,
hey,
not
hey,
fall,
hey, hey,
fall.
hey, hey, hey. Look, we're not lucky enough to be right now in a place where if the season ended, you get a bye week almost. But what we're looking at is that the Mets could catch a team that nobody thought could be caught, and that's Atlanta. Because Atlanta just lost Ozzy Albies for the season, unfortunately, due to a broken, I believe it is a broken wrist.
Well, they're also
And
being Atlanta's being babies. Since they lost Acuna, they've lost all of their like
That's right.
mojo. And they're not, when you're getting paid millions of dollars, you shouldn't lose your mojo for any reason.
right,
Like you be a professional and play and put on your big boy pants and get out there. Like a lot of this, I don't, okay, it really is detrimental, obviously, to losing Acuna, to now losing Albies, but they lost it just their mindset and they're going downhill and they're pitching. They've lost Strider. I mean,
right,
they're really taking
right,
some hits.
right. And that's a team that Mike and I can speak of it is how much we hate the Atlanta Braves. I was angry enough he moved close enough to be close to hear the chop at one point when he was in Florida. But if the Mets surpass the Braves, it's a statement. And that's the statement is what the Mets need to make. The Mets have one of the best farm systems in baseball right now. You have to figure with the September call ups that Drew Gilbert, Ryan Clifford, Jet Williams, and Luis Acuna are all going to get their shot to be up there just to play and help out. And then they'll go back down come the end. The question becomes is what are the Mets going to be willing to give away in the trade? And what do the Yankees have to trade with? And that's a big focus going into the second season. So if you look at both, let's go to the Yankees first. Let's make it easy. The Yankees gave up the kitchen sink, the washer, the dryer, and every piece of clothing to get Juan Soto to be a Yankee this year. The Yankees have some prospects, not a lot. What can the Yankees actually use, Omer, as a trade
Oh,
piece to go out and get a player?
I think
Obviously,
Mike said it.
that Jason Dominguez and Anthony Volpe are untouchable. That's obvious.
I don't know. I don't know if
I think
Jason Dominguez
Dominguez
is
isn't.
completely.
I don't see Dominguez going. I do see other. There are other prospects. Try to get Tanner Scott. I know there's like a huge like talk with the Marlins trying to make this whole a big deal, like you said, with Jazz and Tanner Scott, right? And whether it's and then maybe we also give up a few of we give up Oswaldo and Weber Torres, and
Play
we used to give
Holmes.
our starting pitchers. I don't know which one, but maybe Rodon or Stroh. I don't know, someone obviously that we'll need to give up, maybe Nestor, but we need to make something big. I mean, we need to make that change, and especially on that left side and kind of that middle pitching. So we do have, I think, some talent from AAA that I think that's the only thing we can give up right now, unless we make something a little bigger and then we make this huge like 3 to 4 person deal, and then we are able also to. I mean, I'd also give up DJ. Like, and seriously, like, I don't know why anyone's trying to really hold on to him. As if, I mean, if we're able to give him away to some team that needs that utility type player. Then again, we also lost Rizzo. We spoke about last time. You remember we talked about
Mhm.
Rizzo also that I told you that I think we need that first baseman. So like all around, like look at the corners we're having issues. So I mean, I don't know if we're able to give them away. I think that's something that I would definitely go for. But it's definitely got to give up young talent right now. If we want to win this year, we have to find something because it's not working.
Clay Holmes is still with the Yankees, right?
Yeah, yeah. He's our
I
close.
think he would be that would be an outside the box thing, but I mean his performance from recently has been eh not as great, and it would be interesting because other teams might want to take a chance on him who need some sort of closer presence. But I think the Yankees and the Angels could be an interesting trade partners in a little outside the box, but not crazy. But Clay Holmes could be that would be something.
So, about 2 episodes of um, Mark and I spoke, and he asked me who's the one player that I would want to help us win the championship this year. So exactly, I told him Mike Trout. I said if we could get Mike Trout, and we'd have that outfield of Judge, Trout, and Soto, and that kind of be like our middle lineup. Pitching, not pitching, I think we could really, really do well. And the bottom lineup would do bat around 250. Those guys would be batting around 300, 350 with, OPS of about 1,000. All like two are already above 1,000. And I think that would be amazing.
It would be if he stays healthy. I mean, that's it. He's coming back off an injury, but man, he's tough. It's tough. But
Now
no,
you,
I saw some interesting chatter, Mark, about Jeff McNeil to the Yankees. I don't know what they would get for him though.
I heard that. Funny you say that. It's that somebody sent me that, and I'm like, oh, that's fake news. But then I was seeing it through MLB rumors. It, I like Jeff McNeil. Over the last 3 games, he's actually started to show up, hitting 3 home runs and all that. He's in a contract year. His contract is up. Could the Mets move him? Because they do have Acuna ready to play second base. I don't think it would be advantageous on their part. I really don't. I think keeping McNeil is got to be a priority. You need that leadership. The people who I think are expendable for the Mets, obviously, we have to say Brett Beatty because he is not coming back to take over third base. That's obvious. He's still a good ball player. He's got power, but the Mets are going to have to deal one of the big prospects. It won't be Drew Gilbert, Jet Williams, or Acuna. It's going to be Ryan Clifford. And I think they're going to be able to get a big starter out of it. I just don't know who. I know the Mets have been making calls for Garrett Crochet as well. There are other rumors that are flying around out of Seattle. This is going to be one of the more exciting trade deadlines since, oh, I don't know. I can't even tell you the last time it's been this interesting.
Yeah, but
Tell me,
I
would
think
you
also
guys would you give up Pete Alonso?
No.
no, I
See,
think there's a
No.
morale for the fan, like for everybody there. I mean, I also think that's a risk. Right now, I think there's some really good team chemistry. If you get rid of a McNeil even or an Alonso, it may deflate that balloon quite a bit. There's a part of me that says go small, rely on your prospects and not give up on this year, but really fight for this year in some ways if you can make, some small trades that can have a big impact. I think they should do whatever they can to get rid of DJ Stewart, trade him for, maybe a young reliever with a huge upside. Kind of the opposite of what they did with what's his face, uh, Vogelback, right? They gave up
okay.
if you get rid of DJ Stewart and say, hey, let's find the next Nunez, Daniel Nunez, right? And let them bloom there. But I also think we got to fight the Yankees for Jesse Winker. I mean, I think there's a good trade there possibly.
And we know Omer had touched on Jesse Winker earlier, and I couldn't agree more with the both of them. Jesse Winker is almost like one of those under the radar players, is that he's there, but there's just not enough press for him. I think he would do solid either for the Yankees or the Mets. I think he would fit perfectly into the aesthetic of the team. I think the morale would be perfect to bring him on.
I think Kevin Pillar too. He's just a good guy. I think that'd be interesting. And he's doing, he did all right. He's done all right, pretty well with the Angels.
A little soft spot in my heart for what Kevin Pillar did for the Mets when he was there, when we had the whole out there.
You
Omer,
know who
with the
you know who we
oh,
haven't
sorry, go ahead.
spoken about? Yeah, I'm just saying. I think both teams need reliever, like a closer. Like I think Shields said before, shooting out at home. So, what would you think of Mason Miller? In the Athletics, he's hard throwing. I think he's kind of under the radar also because that team's so bad. But he, as a closer, has like I think is like 60 or 70 strikeouts. He pitches really, really hard. He shoots up there at 100 plus. Um, he could definitely be, I don't know, a trade prospect for both teams because, coming down playoff time, closer is one of probably the strongest positions needed.
Yeah, the Brewers
Well,
also have some good pitchers as well, or at least you got the Brewers who are probably willing to trade. But you got what's his name, Mark Milner,
yeah,
Milner, and then Jared Koenig as
right.
well, who could be interesting to both teams, I think. And um, I think the Rays also have some folks there because they're falling off the edge of the earth.
And not to deflate, the poor Kansas City Royals. I mean, they're having a great year. You have to admit that. And the names like Bobby Witt are not going to be touched or Sally Perez. But how about Seth Lugo?
They're not going to trade him. I don't think he's not. I
What would be needed to get Seth Lugo out of KC and into either the Mets or the Yankees? I say the Mets have more to offer to be able to do it, but I think this is a prime player because you have KC who's not gonna be able to keep up this pace. They're a good ball team, but I think they're gonna fall off. And right now, they have the lineup. They need bullpen help and they need outfield help.
Luis Angel Acuna, Brandon Sproat, and Christian Scott. I mean, they're going to ask
Well,
for everything.
Christian Scott just got placed on the IL, so
Doesn't
he isn't
matter.
being
Doesn't matter.
traded
They'll
for
ask for
anything.
everything. I don't think that's happening, but
That's not. KC also is a team that likes to build from, and they like their young players. I don't see them trying to get, one of those big, huge stars that they need to pay a lot of money for. I don't see that happening either. I mean, it's like the Rangers last year, right? Like how they won. I don't think anyone really understands. But again, they somehow won with that team, and I think that's what kind of Kansas City's looking at. Maybe
yeah, I
also
mean, I
the
think the Mets
Orioles.
are probably more the Mets than the Yankees, but could go after what Brent Suter from the Reds. He's kind of been consistent, and he could be someone who is just a rental
For the
if they
year.
want him to be, or someone who they could sign for extend for another year if he kind of works out.
And I think Mike hit a key word, rental, because at most players at the trade deadline are only coming over for that half. And there's one team that is willing literally to unload, and Omer and I have spoken about it, and that's the Toronto Blue Jays. Toronto is at the bottom of the AL East. They're a solid team. Don't get me wrong. But they cannot compete, whether it's with the Rays, the Red Sox, the Orioles, or the Yankees. It's like when the Arizona Cardinals used to be in the NFC East. They never went anywhere. It was an impossible feat. So
And by
you
the
look at
way,
the
the Blue Jays aren't that bad. Like they're like 5 games under 500. It's not that is if they're like 20 and 60 or something. Like if they're in a different division, they like basically with a good
or,
winning streak, they're back in it.
or in the National League wild card race.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but with the word rental, there's two players that come to mind right now. One, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Everybody knows his contract is coming up. He's going to want a monster extension. Is he worth it? Yes. The guy's proven that he's a good ball player. I mean, does he get Aaron Judge money? No. Is he going to get Shohei Ohtani money? No. But he'll get a nice contract somewhere. But is it now the time for the Yankees to see if they can pull him in and bring him in as youth and have him split time with Ben Rice at first if they have to give the kid a break? I mean, this kid's gonna be something special too. This kid Ben Rice. There's a lot to watch out for.
I don't
But
know.
would you entertain getting Vladimir Guerrero on a rental? But the question, at what cost, Omer?
I would completely do it. I would look at this year as a year that you need to win it. Also, again, you need something to compete with Philadelphia. I mean, I know we're talking about getting into the playoffs, but you want to win in the playoffs, and I don't know, Dodgers and Philly are two tough teams in the NL that I don't know how you guys are going to get by them, and then we have also we have Baltimore that we need to get by. Other than Baltimore, I'm really not too much scared. Not too much about any other team, but yeah, you need that. You need that. You need that power to bring in. That's what I'm saying. You need that Trout, that Guerrero, that I don't know, Bryce Harper. You need that player that can just power you through the playoffs. And
Yeah, I think the
I don't
Yankees.
see Rice being that first baseman that you know. Great, he may be good to keep for later on. I don't know. I don't know if I trade him to Toronto, but maybe for next year and stuff like that. But I don't see him being that player that we use in the playoffs. I'm sorry, Mike.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I think the Yankees should inquire about Matt Chapman from the Giants.
Yeah.
Like, I think he'd be an interesting, seasoned guy. He's doing all right. His batting average is a little low, but his OPS is good, and so he also has this great, defensive. He's good third baseman, right? And so he can really lock it down, and then you can maybe just do some do something with LeMahieu. I think it's time. It's time to you can let LeMahieu go.
To move on. Yeah.
I mean, that contract is a disaster. I mean, when they signed that, even all of us at the network, even the Yankee fans at the network were put their heads down in disgust because of the contract. You want to compare the contract? It's like the Anthony Rendon contract, just not as expensive. Rendon doesn't care. He doesn't play. He just wants a paycheck to go home. That's not what I'm
Yeah,
saying LeMahieu is. I'm just saying LeMahieu is in just a bad decline. He's not what he used to be.
yeah.
He's not at
And
all.
another guy is Rengifo. What's his Rengifo from where is he now? He's with the Angels.
Oh,
No,
no.
Angels. No, he was with the Angels.
He
Um,
was. I don't believe he still is.
well, anyway, but I think that I mean the Braves are probably going to fight the Yankees for him, especially with Albies out. But that would be an interesting acquisition as well. But hey, I love Luis Severino's fire, man. I love he was stirring the pot, rubbing it in.
So if you were in New York, or as Omer was overseas, the Subway Series has been more exciting this year. And when I say the Subway Series, I'm talking about the Mets playing the Yankees. And thank God next year we're going back to 3-game series. That at least I'm happy about. I hate these 2-game and then 3-week break. If you were watching last night, it was really a good pitcher's duel that went through 1-1 until about, I believe it was the sixth inning, that Quintana and oh God, who was pitching for the Yankees last night? Shit, who was pitching for the Yankees last night? Oh, Lucas Gill. Sorry.
I was waiting for you to. I didn't want to give you the answer.
It's the old man dementia. It's causing problems.
I didn't want to do the cheat.
And look at. I think they should have left Gill in a little bit longer. But what happens? The squirrel comes to it bad and hits a bomb. And that's what really was it. The Yankees did tack on another one with, I mean, Judge a double, Volpe a double. They tacked on a run there, but then it settled down. And Omer, what was the
No,
final score?
Verdugo. Judge
I'm
didn't
sorry,
hit it.
Verdugo
Judge
got the
didn't get.
double. I
No.
apologize. And Omer, what was the final score?
I don't know. I need to look online. I don't remember.
Yeah, see,
I just remember 4 walks to Aaron Judge because it's starting to become like a Barry
and
Bonds thing going on here
we're
in
going to
New.
get into that in a second. The final score last night was the Mets winning 3-2. So the Mets and Yankees play 4 games this year. The Mets have already won 1, 2, 3. and it's going to be four after tonight. Does this really mean anything but numbers on a standing list? In all honesty,
I think it does. I mean, Subway series are, they're things that people enjoy. And, I mean, obviously you'd rather win the World Series and lose the Subway series, but if you don't make it to that, at least you can rub it in.
Yeah, I also think there may be something psychologically for fans that are we breaking this? It's not really a curse, but like, the Mets are the Mets are like it's very Jewish to be a Mets fan. It's all about heartache and struggle, and then you think you almost get to the promised land, and then all of a sudden, everything blows up. So I think taking 4 out of 4 from the Yankees you know, might spark this team even further. I think there are still some players, man. I think Jeff McNeil, someone smacked him around. I don't know what happened in the break, but something happened. I'm hoping that there's a fire under him because you don't just go from leading the league in average to what he's been doing, 220 or whatever. Something, who the hell knows? Maybe he visited a therapist. I don't know. But I'm hoping that, he's going to get fired up. I think you'll see some of their other players who are a little slumping, into the break, get fired back up. I don't think Lindor is going to slow down, man. His average is up to almost 260. I think he's going to keep firing. So I think the Mets have an option here. And if you bring up a Luis Angel Acuna, and he also, as a young player, I mean, I think the Mets have an opportunity to bring up some of these young players and really learn how to be gentlemen, how to be baseball players and gentlemen, be a team player, even if you're the young star with the big signing bonus, whatever you got going on. But they have the right kind of stew, if you will, to bring in some of these players. And then, hey, you never know what happens down the season. Someone gets injured, but some of these young guys are able then to step up in a way they didn't know they would need to, and all of a sudden you have a really exciting team going into God willing playoffs.
I love Ben Rice. I mean, no, look, I'll be honest. When they announced this kid's name, I actually had to go find out who he was. I had never heard of him, and that's not unusual. There's over 1,000 different players in the minor leagues. But I looked at his numbers, and then I've watched him play over the last couple of weeks. The kid can swing, the kid can field. It was a good call up. The question now becomes how detrimental to the Yankees' morale if they lose tonight, Omer.
No. I think the problem is bigger than just losing to the Mets. I think the whole issue is that we're losing other series. I think it's that we're going backwards. We started to win when we hit the All-Star break. But again, look at our lineup. I mean, it's just so bad. I mean, it's really. I can read you out the lineup, and you won't know half these players. Like you'll literally be like, wait, who did the Mets play last night?
Yeah.
And that's the major problem. That's the problem is that we have. Let me read it to you. Hold on, I'm gonna go back to the game just so you understand like what I'm talking about, right? So here I'll read you: Jones, Grisham, Davis, Rice, Narvaez. Who are you guys? Who are these players, right? And so you have these players that no one's really heard of, and you have Volpe, Torres, Verdugo, who finally did something yesterday, right? Again, they had that one inning in the sixth inning that we had two doubles. That's it, right? And so you have Judge walking 4 times. So had a bad game. That's it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'd like to point out that right now, um, I'm pretty sure by the end of, in about 2 more hours, the Mets will be tied with the Cardinals in the wild card standing, and they'll be just 2 games back of the Braves because both those beautiful teams are losing. So that's really
Yes,
great.
they are.
And I just like to say I really love the Minnesota Twins. I'm falling in love, and they're only 3.5 games back of the Yankees here. So I hopefully the Twins and the really listen. I think the Mariners may catch the Yankees before it's all over. You never know.
don't go
Crazier
too
things have
crazy
happened.
on me there.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not saying the White Sox will, but the Mariners, they're right there.
So
I don't know
I think
about that. I
As
can
we
just
go
tell you
through our
though, I mean the AL West has got to be one of the most disgusting divisions in baseball. But I mean, I don't know what's going on there. You got the worst team like Oakland. I don't even know how they're winning games.
come on,
And
Oakland beat up on Philadelphia like 19-3. That was fun to rewatch.
I don't understand what's going on there. Trust me, that team
Well, if
that's
you look at baseball right now, I think there's some argument for I don't it's not just revenue sharing because some teams have a larger, but if you look at the divisions and you look at the spread, right? Think of the NL Central. The spread is 10 games, right? You look at the AL West, the spread is 12 games. Even the AL East, it's 10 games. It's whatever, 15 games.
no, it's
So
15. I mean, Toronto,
that's
you
not a
put
lot,
Toronto
but
in the West. Toronto is what? Is 7 games behind. It's not as if you don't run now and then all of a sudden you can make it.
so I think there's just something really wonky with all the divisions where you have, I mean, when you have some, multiple teams, right? Look at the Marlins and the Rockies being just so dreadful, right? And then you look in the American League and you have Oakland, Los Angeles, all, the Angels, the Athletics, God, the White Sox. I mean, geez, like that disparity is just not, there's something not fair about it, right? Like that, the Tigers are not going to have really no shot at the playoffs. Right. I mean, if you look at just how everything's broken down, I mean, in the AL East, it's really sad. The Red Sox in third place with 50, 54 and 46. And they'd be killing it in most of the other divisions.
Well,
Like
first of
there
all, the
should be a
Red
way for
Sox,
the Astros
we,
not to make the playoffs.
we
The
can
Astros and
all
the
we can all say that we all hate the Red Sox, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
that's
something
right.
we don't mind them dying out.
No.
Right. But just look, I don't think anybody in the AL West should deserves to make the playoffs. When you look at the other teams in the American League, you know, you, just just send them all home. Send them all home and give a spot to the Yankees, the Orioles, the Red Sox, whoever,
I
the
have to say that
Twins.
I've never really understood why they don't move to an overall type, I mean, sure, have the divisions for, the games, the play, whatever, but when it comes to wins and losses and percentage, I don't understand why they just don't do overall. Because in the end, that's what you want, right? Like in the NBA, you want the best teams in the playoffs. So why are we doing this whole,
Yeah.
divisional thing?
I don't get it. It's not fair, especially when you look how wonky it is. Or if you fall below a certain threshold, you can't make the playoffs. It doesn't matter. So the
Yeah.
whole AL West will be out. The
So
whole
this
NL
so
Central.
this
Well, no.
revisits a huge question that the network has gone back and forth on talking about trying to figure out a way it would work. Does Major League Baseball need a salary cap?
A salary cap? I mean, you should have an owner cap. How much the owners can. I mean, I. Yes, I mean it's obscene. I think there should be a salary cap in the United States for millionaires and billionaires. But the problem in Major League Baseball is if you put a salary cap on, the only what you're doing is basically saying the owner should just get richer and richer and richer and forget the players, right? So your workers, if you think of it as a union, I mean this is more of a business thing, but you're just saying because that money is not just going to like go back to the fans. It's not going to result in lower ticket prices or concessions. It's going to go straight up to the owners and I'd rather have, I don't know how many people on a baseball roster. I'd rather have them get the money. I'd rather have minor leaguers in conditions improved than have it all go to the owners. So that's, I mean, philosophically,
Okay.
yes, a salary cap because nobody should make that much money. Um, but maybe a salary cap, and then if over $10 million, the rest goes to taxes and to the government, and we'd solve a lot of other problems that way. But I don't know, Omer. What do you think? Omer's in the socialist country. I don't know.
No, I'll tell you what. I think that the thing that I hate the most is to read how prices at ball games have gone up. And you want to go to a game with your kid, and it ends up to be what, $200 to go to a game, have a hot dog and then a beer and whatever. And it just seems so crazy that these prices are ridiculous. And
Well, yeah,
these
especially like here. the Rockies suck, and they have forever. The owner doesn't care about having a good team, and yet it's still a $7 hot dog.
Right, but that's what I'm
If
saying.
you're,
Like
it's
in the
crazy.
end, who's paying for these salaries? You're paying for them in the end because they need to have the revenue generated, and it mostly comes from people coming to the game. And so I think that's the major issue.
Well, but it's still frustrating because like I was up in Toronto and went to a game, and I was so flabbergasted. I almost had to get 10 hot dogs just to because like the Blue Jays charge like 250 for a hot dog.
Oh wow.
Like that's
Yeah, that makes
crazy.
sense.
I think it's like cheaper than the supermarket.
Yeah, 250 for a hot dog. At least when I went, same thing. Like the Marlins, I went to the Marlins Stadium. It was $3.
Yeah, Marlins I heard. The Marlins I heard is really, really cheap.
Even
That's
Atlanta, it was
because
only
no
four
one's
bucks.
coming to the games. I
You
heard
know,
about that.
to be able to take I had family of four right here, be able to take the kids to City Field. It's easily a $500-600 day to go
It's
to a game.
crazy.
So now I got a 70-inch screen TV. I can pause when a kid's got to go to the bathroom. I can pause when I want to go make lunch, and I can come back and see exactly and not miss a thing. Yes, it takes out the idea of being at the game and actually being there. We all three of us know what it's like to attend ball games and how much fun it is. But baseball's almost become cost prohibitive to the people you're trying to attract. And it's not the upper echelon, it's the middle class. And if when your middle class can't afford to go to a ball game, you got a problem.
Well, just look, the Athletics. I just looked it up because I was interested. It's $8.50 for a hot dog at the Athletics game. Like, what's wrong? Come on now. It's the
Well,
Athletics.
there's a different issue. There, they have so little fans, they have to hike up the prices. So
I guess so.
someone,
They just to make sure the owner can keep his clothes on his back, I guess. I don't know. Oh man.
Yeah,
How's
it,
baseball doing in Israel? Hopefully it's flourishing. I don't know. I coached a little league team there when I
um,
lived there for a year.
I don't think it's too much. Now they've got the Olympics now. We have going, but again,
No.
again, you have this, people, you have the Americans that friends of mine that are American who are actually meeting up on Saturday night to play poker. But we, with them, we're all talking baseball and stuff like that. But it's kind of fun because we have ones from Detroit, ones from Toronto, ones, like we're all around. So it's kind of cool that like each person has their team. But other than that, it's not too much. I mean,
Yeah, I coached a team and it was fun watching the religious kids running around with their seat around the bases, flying behind them. It was pretty awesome.
yeah.
So we go into tonight's game. You got the Yankees' best pitcher, and still in my mind, one of the top five best pitchers in baseball, in Garrett Cole. And we got the resurgence of Sean Manaea, who is probably going to serve up multiple home runs tonight. Unfortunately, that's my only fear. Mike, we're going to start with you. We know what the
Listen,
lineup is going to be like. Can the Mets go out and beat Garrett Cole?
well, listen, before the break, right, in that really nice run they had, they were beating up on good pitchers. And by the way, you talk like Garrett Cole like he's the Messiah. I mean, he's almost
Oh,
got a
no, no. I'm
five
saying he's the
ERA.
Messiah. He's still one of the top five best pitchers in baseball. That's all I'm saying.
His ERA is
Jason
five.
Dominguez is apparently the
Did you
Messiah.
see? Did you see his movement the last game? Did you see what he was doing? He's got to get back into himself. He was injured, but he's getting back.
I guess, but I think that the Mets even they were beating up on good pitchers. Listen, I think it could be another tight game. That's the thing with the Mets. It's nice that they can now have tight games where you just don't expect them to lose in the eighth or ninth inning, right? Whereas if in a tight game you're thinking, okay, this is they got a solid shot to win here. Whereas in the beginning of the season, man, the first whatever third of the season, if not a little more, you would just expect them to give up the runs. And I think if you're based on like team morale, man, the Mets going into this, I think have again they've won three, so statistically they probably lose this one, and maybe it's a good possibility. But from a morale standpoint, the Yankees are in a real trough, and the Mets are in a real upswing. And when you have McNeil, who I think we can't underplay the impact of him catching on. I think there's a real good shot of the Mets beating up on Cole, chasing him out in the fourth inning, third or fourth inning here, and kind of blowing this game out.
Mr. Barzilai.
I don't know. I mean, the last time Garrett Cole, I just looked at his I had to open it up because I don't remember, but I just wanted to see that when he got crushed by the Mets back about a month ago. He just came back from the from the injury, but since then you can notice his other than Boston that somehow put up 4 runs, he gave up a run in each game. So yeah, I agree with you probably. You know, you guys have been hitting good pitchers and stuff like all good, but I think he's getting back into his groove. I think it's gonna be a tight game unless somehow we can get our bats going. Again, I don't really know the who's pitching for the Mets. Who's pitching for the
Sean
Mets?
Manaea.
Oh,
Naya's
Sean.
pitching tonight.
Yeah, I also think
Right.
the Mets. Just to give you a little preview,
So that should be a good
it should be a good duel. But the
good
Yankees
duel.
players are hitting like nothing against Manaea, but against Cole, you have Mets players who have just beat up on Garrett Cole. Bader has destroyed him. Lindor, not so much, but he's a different player now. But traditionally you have some players. McNeil has destroyed him. Tyrone Taylor has beat him up. So you even have up and down the lineup that you have players who have really kind of taken it to Cole. Whereas if you look, of course, Judge has beat up on Manaea,
Everyone.
but other than that, you don't have much there. That's kind of Soto has even been quite feeble. Soto, Verdugo, Torres, LeMahieu, LeMahieu actually did pretty well, but they have been feeble against Manaea. So hopefully that bodes well for the Mets for kind of a 12 to I'm thinking 12-3.
Oh, Mike going in with the high prediction.
Wow.
I look at Garrett Cole and I go back to remembering when the Mets used to face Randy Johnson when it was at the Diamondbacks. And Randy Johnson was dominant except for against the Mets. So, could Mike bring out the one key thing? Garrett Cole has movement on the ball. That ball inches away from the batter or can come up and in. I don't think he is the best pitcher in baseball, and I don't think Shohei Ohtani is the best pitcher in baseball. I don't know who is. All I'm
Showing.
saying is I believe Garrett
I
Cole,
think there's a
if
pirate that we already know who is.
Paul Skeens, yeah.
His arm hasn't fallen off yet, though.
Well, that's a scary thing to think about. I mean, this poor kid. But if Garrett Cole is on, I mean, you are in Yankee Stadium, so you have to remember that a pop-up that's at Citi Field would be a regular home run at Yankee Stadium, and it's not just for one team; it's for both teams. Nobody has one advantage over another because they're playing on the same field. What I'm looking for is two players, one from the Yankees and one for the Mets, to prove how much they believe in New York. And that's the two who's always talked about, Aaron Judge and Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso, we know, is in his final year, but there are so many rumors that the contract is done. They're just waiting to announce it. That's all. That's why you haven't heard any other teams really chiming in. You have Aaron Judge. He's signed. He's a Yankee for life. But if you put two faces of a team on the daily news, it's these guys. So I want to throw it to Omer first. How important is a Yankee win tonight?
Like I said before, I think it's really important. It's more, about the whole New York thing because, like you said, tomorrow morning we want to see Judge on the front page and not Pete Alonso or Garrett
Mhm.
Cole, doesn't matter. And I think it's something like Shields said, it's like that morale thing that you give each other even if you're moving forward. And it's that little thing. It's like when you beat your sister or your brother at something, right? It's that little thing that kind of gives you that gist. Like, all right, cool, all right, good. So we're back in it with this whole rivalry Subway Series thing. So that on one hand, on the other hand, I think we need it just so that we don't lose. Obviously, we tied the Rays with the 2-2, and now it'll be 1-1. But we lost so many series that's also kind of thing that's kind of shooting us down. Like at least we won't lose another series. So yeah, I do think it's important for the win moving forward. And I think we need someone to start coming through. I really hope Volpe comes out again and kind of keeps on moving forward. Torres, just we don't have to rely on Soto and Judge all the time.
Mike, how important is this win for the New York Mets?
Well, listen, I think right now, the more they can continue rolling forward, fine. I'm hoping also that some of the veterans in the clubhouse and Stearns, the GM, and their manager can say, okay, sure, winning against the Yankees is great. It would be wonderful. It would help with that momentum. But our momentum is also based on 3 or 4 games in a row, right? Like looking at so if you take, you know, if the Mets took 3 of every 4 games the rest of the season, that'd be fabulous. I think they should, yes, be happy and proud and play hard and all of that, but they shouldn't play so hard they blow their hamstrings out, or like this should be another game. It should be, and remember that the end of the season is a marathon, not a sprint. And so if you do lose, you have to be able to manage. I actually think for the Yankees, losing again is much more detrimental to the mindset than the Mets. And frankly, I think you have a little bit of the Messiah thing going on where Yankees players and the fans are saying Soto and Judge going to hit a home run every time and they're going to save us. And the Mets have just a depth. They have depth of uh, players and skill, but they also have depth of character a little bit. I think that's one of the reasons why. Sure, Soto on the Mets, would that be great? Yeah, but is he? Do I see him as a diva who can be a pain in the butt? I think so. So maybe he's not the right fit for the Mets if they even look at him. So yeah, it'd be nice to win, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm more interested, and Mets fans should be, of what are these clusters of 5, 6, 7 games look like? Are they winning 5 out of 8 of every game? Right, think of it very methodically.
I think Omer and Mike put them both in good perspective. For me, being the Mets fan, obviously, I'm going to say it's more important for the Mets. It's not more important for the Yankees because I want to see the Yankees lose. I think the Mets need this to keep that momentum going and to keep the grimace alive. We all know when Grimace threw out that pitch, something happened. This Mets lineup was and is good. The addition of JD Martinez was a big help. The Mets just signed Jackie Bradley Jr. this morning, which was a great move to give them a little extra help in the outfield. Plus, the kid can fly on the bases, and he'll probably be used in a lot of situations of pinch running. The Mets have to keep winning, and like Mike said, it'd be nice if they can win straight out and not lose a game. It's not going to happen. But they have to consistently win series. They can't win 1 out of 3 every time they go out. They have to go out and take the series that are very important, such as Atlanta. They're going to have a few more with them. You're going to have to face Philly. To be honest, the Mets aren't catching the Philadelphia Phillies. So even if they win throughout, they'll still be behind them no matter what. The
I don't
Mets are
know.
on a tear like a team I've never seen before, and I love it. I
I think
want
they
to
could
see
catch the
more of it.
Phillies, but
It's a
I
12
also
and a
think,
half game split.
if they can go on a tear that's comparable to their collapse in 2008, or whatever it was, seven, then maybe. But by the way, did you see the news on Yelich? I think the Brewers are heading to a hurt here. I think the Cardinals are going to catch him.
Oh, Yelich is out.
His back is not good. I just saw a news article about Yelich having real back issues.
Oh
And that's
wow,
what
he
kept him
could
out
require
last
back
year as
surgery.
well.
I
Yeah,
think
so I
Mark,
think
you can give him a
yeah, he
surgery.
says he may need surgery.
Yeah, I see it now.
And he was
Uh,
having a great resurgence year, too.
Solid series. Yeah. And Trout's out. I don't know if you want Trout there, Omer. He's out with a sore knee again.
You kidding?
He exits his rehab game after 2 innings with a sore knee. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually sad though. He's such a great young player. He was. I mean,
Uh,
really sad that he was not able to.
yeah. Oh, and look, the Reds are beating the Braves 9-4 now. Pirates beat the Cardinals 5-0. So Twins are beating the Phillies. See, Mark, it starts right now. The Mets march to take over the Phillies.
A 12
Let
and
me
a
ask
half game shift is not easy.
Mark. Let me ask you something more.
Go
What's
for
more
it.
important, win tonight or beat the Braves?
Kill the Braves. That's my thing.
That's a good one. Both have their advantages, but for the sake of making the playoffs, I would give up tonight's game to beat the Braves. Yes, I don't like a loss any more than anybody else does. But at times, you take a loss to go get yourself angrier and go after the team that's been bothering you for the past 30 odd years.
Yeah, just imagine if the Mets during that series, right? They sweep the Braves and they go ahead of them by half a game or a game, whatever it would be. Like that would be insane. I mean, and by the way, Mark, the Phillies lose 4 or 5 games in a row. Somehow they get an injury here or there, and the Mets keep on this tear. And that's what I mean. If you win 5 out of 8 games, six, you
Well,
know,
you guys have Philly at the end. I know you guys have a lot of games
yeah.
probably against them in October,
17
September
out
there,
of
or whatever it is. So I mean, you never know. Like by the way, I had the same thing with the Orioles. I mean, we lost that we should have beaten them. Well, also they somehow came back in the bottom, and we basically went into the All-Star break ahead of them. And so it is that that series that all of a sudden that you win against that one top team and then you just start running off.
And I think the
I,
Phillies schedule is harder than the Mets going out for the rest of the season. I mean, the
The
Mets have a
Phillies do have one of the tougher schedules going into the
they
second
do. I
half.
mean, look at the Mets schedule, Mark. You're playing the Angels. Again, they're kind of faltering. You're playing Colorado. I'm going to a couple of those games. Seattle. I mean, you play the A's, the Marlins. I mean, the Mets schedule for the next, I guess they play the Orioles on the 19th, 20th, 21st, I think. Right? I mean, San Diego could be tough, but I mean, man, the White Sox, the Mets have a schedule here, and if Toronto trades Guerrero, then they play Toronto for 3 games, and so the Mets come back. They play the Phillies 2 series. They're playing in September. They have 6 games against the Phillies, 7 games against the Phillies. I mean, if the Mets are tearing it up and the Phillies have a little setback, I think September the Mets' final games are they've 10 games against their division. They're playing Washington and the Phillies for 7 games.
And yeah, those 7 games are gonna be important because we don't know what the wild card spot's gonna look like a month and a half from now. Okay, right now you have 7 teams within a game and a half of the 3 wild card spots. If it were to end today, the Mets are in. That to me, I'm happy to know that. The Mets need to keep producing the way they did in the first half. They cannot become lackadaisical and lollygag themselves all around. They got to go out and they got to play solid baseball. Sango returns on Friday. That's great news. I don't want him to blow out his arm and then he's out for a year. Keep him on a
Yeah.
pitch count.
Yeah.
I think
I don't know. It's really cool. Mark and I talked last time about New York sports and how they're going into a really good place. By the way, Mark, the Knicks extended Thibodeau by 3 years, so that
yeah,
was a
so
smart move. Yeah, but I think New York sports are going to be great. Hopefully, some more Yankee arms fall off and they just become a minor league team for someone. But we can all dream. But
but so as most of you know, Mike has 2 kids. I have 2 kids. Omer's got some kids. And we all want to know who vies for Father of the Year. And I was let in on a little bit of information last week. And Mike, I am sorry to say, you and I lose. We cannot be Father of the Year.
Donald
Omer,
Trump, who?
no, he didn't go fly in to see Trump. Omer took his daughter to see Taylor Swift.
That's
In
awesome.
That's the father of the year there.
That is
I am sorry.
great.
I'm sorry. That needs to be announced. How great of a thing you did for your daughter. This is why we all three get along so well, because we don't just care about ourselves. We're always about family.
Listen,
We're
I'm planning
always
on taking my son
family.
to Vanilla Ice when he comes back into town. He's been coming through Denver, so I'm just saying.
Is, is that a new what, like ice cream shop in Denver? What is that new?
No, no, Vanilla Ice came through Denver. He was
What?
here. He did a concert. Yeah.
Isn't he
He's on
like
tour
50?
apparently.
He's
Nobody
like
Isn't he
50
knows.
like
or 60.
55 years old?
What is he
I,
rapping about?
I'm still the same thing.
Was
Ice
did he do
Ice
Ice Ice
Baby?
Baby in a wheelchair?
No,
Exactly.
he's playing Cincinnati. He's playing some
Wow.
weird farm. His tour is like he goes from Castle Knoll Farms in Indiana to the Hard Rock Casino in Cincinnati to middle of nowhere New York to the Erie County Fair. He's got a real tour going on. This is
That's
this
real.
is a
That's really
popular.
cool.
It's a resurgence. It's a
That's pretty cool.
resurgence.
You
Yeah.
know,
Oh my God. Oh my God.
but that is going to do it for today's edition of the Coast to Coast here on the Sports Insanity Network, brought to you by the best baseball card store in New York, the Dugout in Millwood, where you can find me at all times. I have exciting news regarding this. I have just gotten clearance from everybody. We are going to try to be going week by week by week. No more 2 week breaks. No more month breaks. I don't care if you're flying, Omer, you're going live. I don't care where you are, Mike. If you're in the middle of Passover and I call, you say, I'm sorry, I got to take this call. I got to go live right now. I don't know how that would work, but I'm just trying to make you guys
Well, you
laugh.
get a couple of us on cue. That will give us the flexibility to bag out if we need to. The Jewish people are sometimes demanding, I have to say, as a
Yes,
rabbi.
yes, we are. Please check out the
So,
network at www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com for all your great blogs and vlogs produced by Mike Rifkin and myself, Jeff Knapp, and Ali Weiner. Please check in on all the vlogs done by Bill Murphy and Dan Ryans. And for today, it's Mark Oldop's Halpern, along with my two greatest longtime friends, Michael Shields and Omer Barzilai, who take time out of their busy day. And mind you, again, I'm going to say this, we call this Coast to Coast for a reason. We are in 3 different time zones right now. One of us is actually 2 more time zones away than we are, but still, friends and family get together when it means the most. And to be able to do this with them puts a smile on my face, and I'm happy to do it. So for now, this is fun. We will see you next week with some much more added addition. For now, have a good night, and we'll all catch you on the flip side.